Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Flock Talk. I'm Robin Sullivan from the Leather Elves, and I'm here with Jack Pine from High Redbird. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Robin, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. So I hope everybody's ready to kick off their Memorial Day, the long weekend. Um, it's an important weekend to remember those who gave it all for us, and I hope that people are able to enjoy a little bit of that weekend. So. Um, Jack, I'm going to turn it right over to you. And do you have any announcements?
Yes, so we always have a couple of reminders for
Oh,
you guys.
Jack, wait a minute. Jack, hold on a second. I have an announcement. I don't usually get to do announcements, and I have an announcement. Um, so I
A very happy and wonderful birthday to you, Jack. You are a wonderful friend, an inspiration, and you've always got your friends back, and we love you for it. Take care.
Hi, Jack. Diane from Long Island with her special little friend, wishing you a very happy birthday and many more. Enjoy everything you do, and hopefully it will include cookie butter. Take care.
Hey Jack, just want to wish you a very happy birthday. I hope all the birds treat you well today. Enjoy!
Happy birthday, Jack,
Hey,
from
buddy.
the
Happy
Nowak
birthday.
Nest. The girls say good happy birthday. Happy birthday. Including Gabrielle. Happy birthday. Have a great one. We love you.
Hello, happy birthday, Jack. I hope it's great from me and Zora.
Well, I don't know. This might be Bingo's version of happy birthday to Jack. She's singing you the song of her people there.
Hey, little birdie told me it was Jack's birthday. Happy birthday from Melanie and Ollie.
So here is Tequila from Cockatoo Ranch, and she heard that it's Jack's birthday, and she wanted to say, happy birthday.
Three cheers! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray!
Good girl. Yes. And there we go. Happy birthday, Jack. What do you say, Puffin? What do you say, Puffy? Give me a kiss?
So this is for Jack. It is his birthday, and he has expressed more than one time a desire to see me roll my eyes way, way, way back in my head, just to prove that I can. So I'm doing that here. My helper is Picasso, who is a gigantic butthead, but really pretty funny. So I'm going to roll my eyes back now. Are you ready? I'll do it again just so you don't miss it. There. Happy birthday, Jack.
Dear Jack, I was told by a very dear friend that it's your birthday today. So happy birthday from the other side of the pond. May you have a wonderful year and may all your wishes come true despite of one, so that you will always have something to reach for. Happy birthday. Wait. Bye.
Hi Jack, it's Megan and Gizmo saying happy 50th birthday. You look good for your age. I hope to meet you at Parrot Festival this next year. We need to hold it. It's not rocket surgery. Yes, and this is my green cheek conure, of course, as you know. Of course, you don't have the hair like I do for them to grab onto. But you... Oh, there he goes. Yes, here he is. Yes, the Gizmo, say happy birthday. Yay, right? Good boy. Thanks for...
So, happy birthday, Jack.
Oh, God. I am just happy that you did not post like a video of a cake with all the candles, because I think Nick would probably have to worry then about a wildfire in California, because I feel like it would look about the same.
We have drought conditions here in New Hampshire, so I couldn't light that many, or I would have. So now that we're done with the festivities, do you have any announcements?
Well, first of all, thank you to everybody who reached out. Robin and I have always said that it is so much fun getting to see you guys, to interact with you guys every single Friday. And it really is a lot of fun for us. I know Diane looks forward to this as her date night. A lot of other people have started to look forward to this as their date night, but Diane was the first one to coin the term, so she's going to get credit for it every time. So I certainly hope that you guys are appreciating, all of the camaraderie that we're able to provide here. Everybody being able to communicate and get together for their love of birds. So, thank you guys so much, because this really is a whole lot of fun for me and Robin. Now, a couple announcements. Some of these announcements we give you guys every single week. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, we encourage you guys to like the Leather Elves page on Facebook. These live streams are always going to be live streamed from the Leather Elves Facebook page. So if you like the Leather Elves Facebook page, you will get a notification whenever we go live. You will also get fun notifications whenever Robin is doing things like fun sales, whenever we have fun events going on. Now, of course, if you miss out on the live streams, and we're always happier to have you guys for the live streams, you can always watch these videos on the Hi Redbird YouTube channel. So if you subscribe to that over there, that'll make sure that you never miss out on any of the videos. We actually put them all together as part of a playlist. So if you are going cross country, you can have a playlist that will take you across the country, because at this point we have over 30 hours of content that Robin and I have put together for you guys, and it's only getting to be more and more every single week. Now, speaking of fun events, we are kind of getting close to the deadline for one of those fun events, the Place Your Bets Conference. Now, we encourage everyone to register by May 31st. The reason we encourage you guys to do that is that there is going to be multiple hands-on workshops, and one of the workshops will require us to send you parts. So if you register by May 31st, that will ensure that you guys have time to get those parts in the mail. Now, of course, if you decide at the last minute you would like to be a part of the workshop, you want to see all of this educational content, you'll be able to register for it. You'll get those parts eventually. We just can't promise that you'll get them in time for the conference. And we want to make sure that you guys get that, because we have a whole lot of fun things going on. We have speakers from all over the world. You guys just saw Hilla Neiman. She is from Germany, and she is one of our speakers. We have speakers from, there we go, seeing the list actually helps me out. We have Miguel from Portugal. We have people from all over the country. So this really is a conference with speakers around the world. And the nice thing about it is that it's a virtual conference. So you don't have to book a hotel room. You don't have to book airfare. You can be on your couch in your jammies, enjoying the wisdom of speakers from all over the world. Robin, you have to be dressed professionally. Everybody else can be in their jammies. But it should be a whole lot of fun. We call it the Place Your Bets Conference because the focus is on behavior, enrichment, training, and science, which if you take the initials of all of those, that gets you bets. Now, we're also going to have part of the money raised through the Place Your Bets Conference, through that registration, is going to be going to the Georgia Fletcher Memorial Scholarship Fund. That's through the Quaker Parakeet Society. Robin and I both, Georgia was an amazing aviculturist and an amazing friend. Her passion for aviculture, for encouraging new people to aviculture, is absolutely incredible. So this memorial scholarship helps to honor her legacy. It's a scholarship that goes towards veterinary students focusing on avian medicine. So it definitely helps to promote the future of aviculture in the country. So if you were looking for things that you can do to support aviculture from your house, sign up for the conference, because you are going to be helping the future of aviculture, and you're going to be having a whole lot of fun with me, Robin, and speakers from all over the world.
Absolutely. I think I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be some great information, and in a comfortable way, so that it's not overwhelming. It's not, it's still got that science to it, but it's still comfortable for people. So I am looking forward to it. So tonight, Jack, we're going to talk about how do you pick the right bird? And, the right bird is the bird that's right for you, the bird that's right for your flock, the bird that's right for your lifestyle. And I think there are so many different ways you can get that right bird. And we wanted to talk tonight about how do you go about doing that? How do you decide where you're going to get it from? And what kind of things should you be asking? So, I mean, Jack, obviously we've talked about research before. You've got to do your research, you've got to do your homework, but what, is there, in your opinion, is there one place that's the right place to get a bird?
So this ties into so many of the things that we have said. You are going to have to find what works for you, for your situation. So I would say there isn't any one bird that's going to be right for everyone. There isn't going to be any one situation that is going to be right for everyone. So the good news is, if you guys are watching this live stream, if you're watching it as a video, you are taking the effort to research what goes into finding a bird. So you have the ability to research things, to use your gut to find what is going to work for you. So the biggest thing I would say here, trust your gut on these instances. We're going to give you some things that you can look for, some questions you can ask, things that would be red flags, things that would be green flags for us. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you are looking for a new member of your household. And that's how I want people to think of it, because a bird, compared to a lot of other animals, they have so much intellect. They live so much longer. Even something like a budgie, which is typically thought of as not very long-lived for a parrot, you're still going to be looking at a lifespan that can easily exceed that of a cat or a dog. So this is a long-term decision that you are making. So use your gut, use this information we provide you to try to figure out what is going to work for you.
So when we were working on the outline, one of the things I was trying to do was divide things up into questions you would ask of certain different types of ways to get your bird. So, but the important thing I found was it's pretty much the same questions. It's not going to be, if I go to a breeder, I'm going to ask this set of questions. If I go to a rescue, I'm going to ask these set of questions. If I go to, a bird store, a pet store, I'm going to ask these questions. They're pretty much the same questions across the board. But there are some questions that you need to ask yourself before you even get to that point. And one of the things I think, some of the questions to ask: do you want a young bird or an older bird? There are people that are like, nope, going to start with a baby. I'm going to, take it from the beginning all the way through its life. Some are like, you know what? I want to give an older bird a home. I want a bird that might require less training, or, I think that's an important factor. Don't you, Jack?
Yeah, so there's pros and cons to either a younger bird or an older bird. Obviously, if you start with a brand new bird, you are not going to have any bad habits that somebody else taught that bird, but you're also not going to have any good habits. that somebody else taught that bird. A lot of times, if you get an older bird, you can get a bird that already knows how to step up, is already comfortable with the scheduling in a household, is already familiar with a lot of different types of enrichment, which when you have a brand new bird, you have something new and shiny, but sometimes you do have to work on getting them used to socialization, scheduling, enrichment. And again, as we tell you guys every single time, it really is a study of one. So some birds are going to dive right into it, and some birds are going to be absolutely terrified of everything. So there's pros and cons to each. And again, whatever works for you, that is going to be the bird that's going to work out better in your household.
So what's another question that you think people should maybe ask themselves before they go out on this search?
So one of the things that people always ask me, they will have started to do a little bit of research, and they will have in their mind a particular species that they want. They have a picture of a bird, or they have seen a video of, oh, I saw this bird playing with a basketball or singing. And there's all these reasons why they have decided why they may want a particular bird. So, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I feel like this sort of ties into the notion of the quote unquote starter bird, which Robin and I have talked about this. As far as we're concerned, there really isn't such a thing as a starter bird. Every bird, it deserves the same kind of attention, the same sort of care. And I feel that when you give a bird the title of starter bird, it basically is, well, you can mess that bird up and it's okay. And it's not. You still need to provide proper diet. You still need to provide proper enrichment, proper housing, proper training, proper socialization. So if you have a particular species in mind, I'd actually be inclined to say you're probably going to do better off with that bird because you're more likely to research it. And research is going to be your biggest friend here. Now, I am going to encourage people research every single aspect of a bird. The reason I say this, I have a lot of umbrella cockatoos that I use for shows and presentations that people see them doing tricks and they think that's so much fun. They see the bird talking, they think that's so much fun. The part they're not seeing is how many hours of training does that bird utilize every single day? How destructive is that bird? I have a Moluccan cockatoo that is currently going through a 2x4 about every 2 to 3 weeks. And with lumber prices being what they are right now, I have asked him to slow down, and he is not accommodating that. We talked last week about birds that are screaming. So think about how loud your bird is going to be. Is it going to be a bird that would work in your home? Obviously, different species are going to have different volume thresholds. There are also going to be different pitches. For me personally, a conure is higher pitched and harder for me to deal with than something like a macaw, which is louder. So research all of these things. But if you have a particular species in mind, research that bird, because the more research you do, the better your chances of providing a proper home for that bird.
And I think on top of that research, after you kind of cross this threshold that you've asked these questions of yourself, you also need to think about taking the generalizations and kind of putting them aside and looking at the individual birds that are available to you. Because, I've had people say, oh, this type of bird, X species are all kind of obnoxious, or X species are all super sweet. And we've said it 1,000 times. It's a study of one. And, if you go out there and you're like, I am going to get a blue-throated macaw, and because I've heard X, Y, and Z, and they make great pets and they're wonderful. That's, you've really got to think about that, because you may run into the blue-throated macaw that's not so nice, or that isn't an amazing pet. And Linda just brought up a really good question. Another question to ask yourself is, how much time do I have to work with this bird? Is it a bird that's already got some experience and maybe there's not as much work required as far as training is concerned, but you've still got to maintain that training? Is it a bird that can entertain itself? A lot of times you get an older bird or, a bird that's been maybe a bird that's been in a store. So it's had a lot of socialization. You really need to look at what are you looking for? What's your kind of goal? Is it to have, share your life with this bird? Is it to have, something that is just going to kind of be part of your household? Eva, other people that live in your household with the bird, definitely something to think about. You really need to go ahead.
I was going to say, be honest with yourself about what you are looking for in terms of a bird, because I can guarantee you, no matter what you are looking for, there is a bird that will fit what you are looking for, but you're only going to find it if you're honest with yourself. To give you guys an example, I utilize, high energy cockatoos in an animal show for 200 to 300 kids. Obviously, that's a very particular bird. The owners of the facility where I work, they are not interested in having that bird in their home. Instead, for their home, they have an older bird that likes to either stay in its cage or on a stand next to their office where they are doing paperwork. They're interacting with it from a desk or a table, but they're able to provide the home that bird wants, but it's a completely different bird with completely different needs. There is a bird that will fit your home. You just have to be honest with yourself.
Absolutely. And so there are so many factors and so many questions you need to ask yourself. And it's not the go into the store and just pick a bird and it's time to go home. And I made this decision this afternoon because I was feeling lonely and I wanted a bird in my house. Unacceptable. So the next kind of level that you need to think about is, where do you want to get that bird from? Is it a breeder? Is it a rescue? Is it a store? And I think the overarching issue that you need to think about is right there. How do you know that they're reputable? How do you know that this person as a breeder or this organization as a rescue or this, facility that's a store, how do you know that they're reputable? So there are a lot of different questions that you really want to ask. And I think, some of the questions are, how long have you done this? And that doesn't mean you discount someone who's young and just starting, because I can think of a lot of younger people in aviculture who either volunteer at rescues or who are starting out with very small breeder flocks, and they're doing a great job because they're doing their research, they're doing their homework, they know what they're doing. But I think that's a question to ask. What's the bird's daily routine? What does it look like? So, Jack, I think you can attest to the fact too that, or agree with me that in different locations, you're going to see different routines that the birds have gotten used to. A breeder's facility versus a rescue versus a store, those are all going to be very different routines.
Yeah, and Robin and I have talked about this. For me, one of the most important things for providing a proper environment for a bird is that consistency. What did we call it? The inconsistent consistency or consistent inconsistency. Your bird is going to get used to your routine. We want to try to provide that variation to the routine so the bird doesn't get bored. But if you are consistent in your approach, I have seen birds get used to so many different things. So again, you're going to find a bird that fits your setup. You're going to find a breeder or a rescue or a store that fits your mentality for providing for your birds as well. And again, this is where that notion of paying attention to your gut comes into play. Use your eyes, use your judgment. You're going to see how these people are interacting with their birds. You're going to see for me, one of the things that's really important, I have never yet met an enthusiastic bird keeper that could adequately hide their passion for birds. Bird people are excited about birds. So, if I came across somebody who didn't really seem to care, that would be a red flag for me. Now,
And I think, go ahead.
I was going to say, so the situation, the maintenance protocol, the way they're taking care of their birds, it may not be exactly what you would do if you bring that bird home. Nothing's ever going to be exactly the same, but you can find something that'll work. Sorry, Robin, what were you saying?
No, and I was going to say, I think, when you look at all the different ways that you can get a bird, that passion does go through all of them. And if you meet, and I know, I can speak for you because I know this is true. Both of us have met breeders that are exceptional and breeders that are not. Rescues that do it right and are really good at what they do, and sanctuaries, and others that are not. Stores. So as a toy maker, when I go into a new store, I can pretty much assess how much passion there is there when I walk in the door. And I think, and then you talk to the people that own the store, you talk to the manager, and you get a feel for whether this is somewhere that you want to do business somewhere. Because bottom line, whether you are getting your bird from a breeder, a rescue, a store, it's a huge responsibility that you're taking on. And it doesn't matter where they're coming from, as long as you have done your research and the place that you're getting them from has done their job.
Yeah, for me, one of the things is, I have encountered people who will say you should only get a bird from this type of organization or this particular thing. To me, what makes you the better bird keeper is not where you get that bird from, but the type of life you provide for that bird once you get it. I have known absolutely, phenomenal birds that came from rescues, phenomenal birds that came from breeders, phenomenal birds that came from pet stores. Birds are awesome. And I don't think you're going to find a better bird in any particular situation. You're going to find great birds everywhere. So to me, I would say focus on what you are providing that bird, the type of life you can give that bird. That's what makes you a really good bird keeper in my eyes.
Absolutely. And I think it all comes down to wherever you get your bird from, that's just the starting point. And then you hope that, you've done your research and it's healthy, regardless of where it comes from. You take it home, and then you start with all the really cool stuff that we know from spending 30 plus hours with you guys, that you know what you need to do, and you give that bird the best quality of life you can. So we decided we would talk to a breeder and someone from a rescue. And the breeder that we wanted to introduce to you all is Sarah Brabs. Sarah does a fantastic job. And we have a clip from Sarah. And I'd like you guys to listen with a real open mind about, from a breeder, what you should do in finding the right bird.
Hi, this is Sarah Brabs from West Virginia Aviary. Robin asked me if I could give a couple tips on what to look for when you're looking for a responsible breeder. I want to first start off by asking, is the breeder well known? Are other breeders in the community aware of this person? Do they know who this person is? Are they willing to provide professional references? Can they name people that they have done business with before? Can they provide a vet reference? We can look on their Facebook page. We can check out their social media. We can find so much about a person just by checking online. Do they have a website? How long has their website been up? Where is the website registered? Another thing that you can look at on their Facebook page is check out their ratings. How far back does their ratings go? There are a lot of people that have been raising birds for years and years and years that are new to social media. So don't put a whole lot of weight on that. If you feel uncomfortable, you can always give them a call. A good breeder is willing to chat with you on the phone or however your mode of communication works best for you. A breeder should maintain a healthy level of communication. Does the breeder disease test? Most of us do. Most of us disease test our parents of our birds, but we don't always test every single baby because we know that our collection is clean. However, if I'm requested by a client to disease test my babies, I absolutely will. Your breeder should also provide a sales and deposit contract. I don't always send a deposit and sales contract with all of my smaller birds, but I really should. I need to have a clause that says that if anything happens in your life, that the bird is fully welcome to come back to me. I don't want them to end up in rescues, and I don't want them to end up passed from home to home to home. I find it is responsible as a breeder to expect that if anything happens to my client, or maybe the bird's not a good fit, I'm willing to take these birds back. I call my clients instead of customers because I fully intend on being there long after the bird is in its home. I want to be there if anything happens. If you have any questions 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years down the road, I want you to feel comfortable asking me. A good breeder is passionate about what they do. You want to make sure that they prioritize education, regardless of potential sale. It's very time consuming, but we want to make sure that the public understands what they're getting themselves into. It's not just about you asking the questions to the breeder, but also the breeder asking questions of you. They should ask you what kind of environment that their bird is going into. What type of home are you providing? Is your home loud and chaotic? Is it very mellow? Are you going to be working a lot? Do you have children? These are all questions that a reputable breeder should ask. We want to make sure that the client is happy, but we really, really want to make sure that the bird is happy. As a client, don't be alarmed if your breeder does not allow you on their property. It's pretty common. We're all very protective of our collections. We don't know where you've been or what other aviaries that you've checked out or what stores you've checked out and what you might be bringing into our farm. And that absolutely does matter more than making a sale. Thankfully, there are other ways to find out what kind of situation your bird's being raised in. If I get a client that wants to see the breeder pair, or if they want to see what kind of setup I have, I don't mind FaceTiming them. I don't mind taking a video or pictures. Something that I find needs to be addressed is there's so many scammers. It's really hard to find out who you're going to trust as far as a breeder. Who are you going to trust to send money to? If you're buying a parrot and they're saying that they can ship USPS, birds do not get shipped directly to your door. That is not a thing. If they tell you that they're shipping USPS or if they're shipping directly to your door, red flag. Don't be afraid if a breeder does ask for a deposit. Just make sure you check them out first. Ask your breeder what payments they accept. If somebody requests that you pay with an Amazon gift card, another red flag. Obviously, this is not a definitive list. This is only my experience. These are my opinions and my perspective. But I hope these tips help you find a responsible breeder.
There were places where Sarah almost had me in tears because that's what you're looking for. She is the epitome, the embodiment of that responsible breeder that you're looking for. And Terry just commented exactly. Terry is another phenomenal breeder. So it's really about, all those questions. So from a breeder, she's willing to answer those questions. And if you go to a breeder and you're not comfortable and you just get kind of a bad vibe, you don't have to get a bird there. This is going to sound really cold. It's almost like buying a house. So when you go to look at a house and you're like, I like it, but I'm not super comfortable, then don't do it. You don't have to do it. And maybe there's that cute little bird that you can see right over that breeder's shoulder that's absolutely adorable. It's going to be okay. You don't have to. And Kate, you're absolutely right. Both breeders and rescues, there's a much needed place for both. What do you think, Jack?
So this is going to apply to all of the different sources that we're going to talk about today. And I know this can be a very difficult thing for people to do. If you do not believe the way that a breeder, a store, a rescue, the way that they are providing for their birds is appropriate, by supporting that organization with your money, with your donation in order to get an animal, all you are doing is encouraging them to continue to care for animals that way. I know it can be really, really hard because you see that one individual bird and you think, I got to save that one. But if you save that one and give them money for that one, they're going to get another one. Now, for Sarah, I am so excited that we were able to have Sarah, because I feel that one of the, main issues that people have with breeders, they think of breeders as being very cold, very detached. They don't care about their birds. They're just trying to produce more birds to make more money. And I think Sarah made it very, very clear. A reputable breeder does care about their birds. And so many of the things that she talked about drive that home. So the idea of disease testing for your birds. Reputable breeders are going to disease test their birds when they get them in. They are going to ensure that they do everything in their power to keep those birds safe, including limiting access of people walking in who could potentially bring pathogens to their flock. We want to avoid that because it's not cost effective to do that. It's not, nice to do that. But ultimately, if you care about your birds, seeing them get sick, losing those birds is devastating. So, I think Sarah really drove that home, that there are breeders that really do care about their birds, the birds that they give to other homes. And I think Sarah also, when she pointed out that she is willing to answer those questions moving forward, it's not just here, let me answer your questions to try to make this sale, and then you're on your own. She is willing to answer those questions. And breeders have a lot of answers to a lot of really, weird questions. I think that's really the only way that I could say that. People will have questions like, I've noticed my bird is doing this. What do you make of that? And breeders are going to have a wealth of knowledge on that particular species. They can tell you what they have noticed in different individuals. So by making herself available, I think Sarah's really proven herself as, not just a good breeder, but a good resource for aviculture. And that's one of the things that Robin and I really wanted to drive home with this session, that we all need to work together with each other. We all need to find ways to encourage reputable stores, breeders, all rescues, all of these to work together to promote aviculture going forward. And I think that was a great example.
Yeah, and it's true. I have a lot of friends that are breeders, and I've been able to ask them questions. If I'm working on enrichment, so breeders, in a lot of cases, breeders are able to really observe natural behavior in birds, and they get that kind of feel, and they really kind of see what's going on as far as that closer to the wild behavior. And some of the breeders have been doing this for a very long time, and they go back to wild caught birds. So they know, a lot of breeder stock, years ago was wild caught birds. And they have a closer kind of attachment to that natural side of things. And I've asked questions of breeders, and you kind of get that look that like, well, of course it's blah, 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 like that's just common sense. And you go, I know it is for you and it might not be for me, but it's really that important connection. And some people are also under the impression that breeders don't, that it's a job. It's just, we're going to, pump out these birds. And if it were just a job, breeders would be making way more money and not working half as hard.
I am going to tell you right now, I have yet to meet a breeder who is rolling in money. I think a lot of people have this idea that like, oh, get into breeding birds and you'll make all this money. What goes into taking care of them? What goes the time, the stress of worrying about your flock and worrying about how you're going to provide for them, and what do you need to do to provide for them? Uh, the stress of taking care of baby birds. If you're hand feeding baby birds, oh my, that is involved. So then you do the math of, okay, well, how much do you end up making on this bird? And if you were to pay yourself hourly for what went into that particular bird, you realize, yeah, you're not really making as much as everybody seems to think. So yeah, I would say that it is not the most profitable endeavor. And again, that is where paying attention to someone's passion, because when you care about this, when you want to see those birds, for me, I have told you guys again and again, we've built a walk-through aviary with budgies, and I get to see kids interacting with them. I get to see them light up. I get to see the future of aviculture in front of me. That is what makes it worth it to me. So for breeders, that's the same thing that's going to happen. Seeing people care about their birds, that's what makes it worth it, not necessarily dollars.
Absolutely. And so Eva says breeding like rescue is for the love of birds. So the next area that we want to talk about is rescue. And we asked Jeannie Gilligan from A Helping Wing to let us know kind of what goes on as choosing rescue is concerned.
Hey, hi, Jean from A Helping Wing. Robin had asked me to talk a little bit about A Helping Wing's adoption process. We require our adopters to make multiple visits. We look for that connection between the bird and the adopter. Kind of think of your first appointment with us as speed dating. You're going to meet a lot of different birds. We're going to look for some kind of connection between you and them. And if there's no connection, that bird comes out of the process. After that, we try to educate people on diet, on enrichment, foraging, training. Cage size is very important. We try to help our adopters out by helping them get cages, toys, anything that they need. Usually our process takes about probably 3 to 4 weeks at the most, and that's because people usually come once a week. After that, we do follow-ups. We like to keep an open line of communication. And we have some return adopters. We've had people that have adopted 2 or 3 birds sometimes. And so far, knock on wood, we've had less than 10 birds returned of no fault of their own in the last, 10, 12 years. So, Robin, I hope this helped you out. Look forward to seeing everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye.
So Jeannie, describes the process. And I think I noticed in comments that as well that Adrian mentioned that rescue was really overused. So we used the word rescue when we were creating this session because rehome is awkward in some ways, and sanctuary implies other things, and rescue. So I made someone cry once because I said, were they in a burning building? Then you didn't rescue them. And I totally believe in the concept. I just don't know what to call it. So we're going to call it rescue for tonight, but you can think of it more as just a way station. How about that? It's a place where birds can go. If there's a situation that doesn't work for them anymore, there's a place where they can go and then go someplace else. All right. So I hope that works for everybody, because I don't want to get caught up in the terminology. And I agree. There are many birds that are not rescued, and you don't rescue birds from pet stores because you bought them. I got to say that. Jack, are we on the same place?
Yeah. So another thing I just want to point out. So for a lot of rescues, a lot of rescues have been working for years. So this is going back to times when birds maybe were not as properly cared for, and a lot more of those birds were legitimately rescued versus rehomed. The good news is that I feel like today we're seeing a lot more rehoming situations. It is not that the bird is in, dire health concerns. It is not that the bird was rescued from a birding building, although I've had birds that were in that situation. It is, either that the owner realized they were not able to properly care for the bird. A lot of times it can be because the owner passed away. You do need to remember that the bird lifespan is going to be equal or greater to ours most of the time. And since most people are going to be starting with a bird not as toddlers, you're going to be looking at an animal that is probably going to outlive you. So, I would say don't get caught up in the connotation. All of these are basically going to be similar. They're all going to be rehoming those birds that need a new home.
Yeah, I like Karen's comment that parrot welfare organization. I like that. I think this is good. We might have something here, Karen. We may need to go with this. But the whole point is, I think we're going to see an increase in this type of situation after the pandemic. I really do, because there was a huge upswing in pet ownership and in bird purchases. And then I think things are going to change for people and their lifestyle is going to change a little bit. And then they're going to, maybe have to rehome. So I think there are a lot of different things that are going to happen. It's really about rescue, rehome, interchangeable. Absolutely, Lori. But regardless of what that is, I think it's a process, and the passion is there in the people that do this type of work. And if you decide that's where you're going to get your bird, then you just need to kind of take a look at it, ask the same questions. The things that Sarah brought up are definitely things that you want to ask a rescue. You want to ask that same list, regardless of where you get your bird. The other thing is if you can find out, it's a little less easy, yeah, to get a bird's history sometimes if you're getting it in a rehome situation. But I think, it's still a possibility. You can find out a little bit, from the adoption agency.
Yeah, and I would say that this depends on the organization that you are interacting with. So again, use your gut, because some animal welfare organization, yeah, that actually is a great term because it seems to encompass all of them. 1,000 points for Karen tonight. Depending on the animal welfare organization, some of them will be able to provide you hey, we didn't have that much information when this bird was surrendered to us, but here is the results of its physical with a veterinarian. Here is the results of this. Here we've been getting regular weights on this animal. So those sorts of information are great at being able to provide for your bird. A lot of that can be done by people at home. You can have photos of a bird. You can have weights on a bird without needing to go to an avian veterinarian every single week. So if your animal welfare organization is able to provide that sort of information to you, it really showcases that they care about those birds, that they're willing to put that work in.
Absolutely. Julie brings up a good point too, that you would want to do the same thing if it were a private adoption or a private placement, from someone that is just rehoming their bird themselves without using the intermediary of a facility. It's still important to ask those same kinds of questions. So the last group that we wanted to talk about was stores, and we didn't have anybody speak to us from a store because we didn't want to, do a commercial. But it's really with stores, exact same questions. You want to go in, you want to make sure it's clean, you want to make sure that the staff is, interacting with the birds if they have the time. And again, a small avian shop, avian specialty store, nobody's getting rich there. I can tell you this. I mean, we're in 50 plus stores across the country with our toys, and we still, there are places that I'm like, oh, is he going to make it? Are they going to get through this? And it's their passion. But you want to ask those questions too. I mean, what would you suggest for people with stores, Jack?
So for me, one, cleanliness. Cleanliness is going to be one of the most important things that I would consider when going through a store. First of all, it's going to show that the people in the store care about those birds. They care about the animals that they have in their care because they're providing for them. They're cleaning up after them. If I were to walk into a store that was dirty or smelly, I would have immediate concerns. I would also want to know how knowledgeable the people working at a store are. And you would be surprised at this because I have walked into, how do I say this without us getting sued? I have walked into larger, very prominent, general pet stores that are providing information that is at least 30 to 40 years out of date. And I have walked into very small bird stores that, the building looks older, and you walk in and they are willing to answer every question with the most cutting edge information. Their staff is going to regular conferences for avian care, for avian veterinarians. So the knowledgeability of the staff, how much they care about getting you the right information. I don't know if knowledgeability is a word. Go with it.
I think you have to have you have to have a lot of knowledgeability if you want to practice rocket surgery. Just saying.
Look, butterflies. No, if they want to get you that information, if they want to make sure that you are taking proper care of that bird, that to me is important. And it doesn't necessarily correlate with how new or how shiny their building is. It doesn't necessarily correlate with how prominent their business is, because there may be a business on every single corner, but if they're giving you information that's 40 years out of date, if they're telling you things like, oh yeah, get a budgie, because it can live on a seed-only diet and it only lives 3 to 5 years, I would have serious reservations about supporting that store.
Absolutely. And I think I walked into a little teeny tiny store in Ohio, and I walked in and I was like, man, I don't know, it's kind of tiny. And I started talking to the owner, and he's breeding some really cool, exotic, different birds that you don't see all the time in the pet trade. And it's this little tiny pet store. I mean, it would fit in some of the bigger type stores 3 times. And I walked in with this kind of preconceived notion, and then I was like, wow, this is a really cool place. And I think you need to really talk to the people. They're there to help you. It's not about, here, I'll box up this bird for you, you take it home. It's about, how can I help you make this bird's life better? How can I help you, create the best environment in your setting for this bird? How do I, as a store, help you find the right bird for you? Like I said, we work with 50 plus stores across the country, and most of them are avian specialty stores, not full service pet stores. But I work with some full service pet stores that are also very knowledgeable about the birds that are in their care and that they're selling. So it's really, really up to you as the person that's going into contacting a breeder, going into a rescue, going into a store. And it should never be a snap purchase in a store. With a rescue, there's usually a time frame before you can adopt. With a breeder, you've got to wait till the baby is weaned. So there are all these different reasons why those take a little bit longer. If you can walk into a store and walk out that day with a bird, I would question whether you should or not. Jean mentioned the connection. She said it's like speed dating. You meet a whole bunch of birds, and if you make a connection, great. If there's a bird that absolutely doesn't connect at all, it gets taken out of the process. So with stores, I think stores are really upping their game. I have found that they're doing more education. They're doing more, informing. Like, I know a lot of places will send home packets with the birds. This is, the information, the basic information that you need. And hopefully you'll already know that because you will have done your research, but it's a kind of nice thing to take home with you. So it all just keeps circling back around to make sure you have that follow-up support wherever you get the bird from, and make sure that the bird is healthy, that you've got, the vet information and that there's been some kind of check done. So just one more thing on I was thinking about rescue, and I don't think anyone goes into bird ownership planning on, I'm going to keep it for a couple years and then I'm going to rehome it. I don't think anyone actually goes into bird ownership that way. And I would hope that they don't. But so when we talk about, I got it from a breeder, I got it from a rescue or a parrot welfare organization, I got it from a store, just consider that it may not be forever. And you need to be aware that that just kind of opens up another way to get a bird. Right? Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I have gotten birds from rehoming situations for so many different things, from people who wanted to provide for that bird for the rest of their life, for the rest of its life. But maybe there was a medical issue. Maybe there was, family drama. Maybe your home situation fell apart. Maybe, you were not able to provide that bird what it needed. Because again, remember, there is a bird for every single situation. You may have ended up with a bird that wasn't a good fit for yours. So, I think that people who have to give up their birds when they try to find a way to find the appropriate home for that bird, when they're working to provide for that, I feel like a lot of times online, they can get a lot of judgment, they can get a lot of pushback. And again, to me, it all comes down to trying to provide the proper home for that bird. So if that's what you're doing, I'm not going to judge you for that. And I am going to help you with that to the best of my ability, because I want to see every bird in a great home. I know Robin and I we were talking about a situation like this morning. We want to see birds in great homes because to both of us, birds mean so much.
Absolutely. So regardless of where you get your bird from, we just really quickly, and I know we've gone an hour already, but really quickly, we want to talk about quarantine. So I don't care where you get your bird from. I don't care if it was in a home, it was by itself, it never saw another bird ever. We do need to talk about quarantine. So quarantine protocols, it sounds, super serious and protocols. Well, it's important. It's that important. And so you want to set up your plan for quarantine before you get your bird home. You want to make sure that you have the things that you need before you bring your bird home. Jack, what's your, I know how long I think quarantine should last. What's your opinion?
So it fluctuates. I start with a base 30-day quarantine. Coming from the zoo field, my background indicates that's where you start at quarantine. So 30 days of quarantine for a bird. In that time, we're going to be visually assessed by a vet. We're going to do things like parasitology fecals. As Sarah was talking about, depending on where you get your bird, you may want to do some disease testing. Ultimately, talk to your vet to see what they recommend for your bird. They're a vet. They're going to be better qualified to make those decisions than you are. And quarantine will last until you are at the end of that 30 days, or you are comfortable that your bird is healthy, whichever comes last. So if on day 3 you are comfortable that your bird is healthy, you think everything is perfect, I would still wait the 30 days just to be safe. If you've hit 30 days of quarantine and you still don't think the bird looks quite right or something's kind of off, I would keep it in quarantine until I am comfortable that that bird is healthy.
And it's the 30 days is the base, and then from there you go on. I think, as much as you say, oh, I want to take the bird out of quarantine, he's all said it's been 30 days. There's just a little bit that's iffy. There should be no iffy. It's just 30 days, and then assess at that point, as you've been assessing all along, but do another assessment and decide at that point if you need to continue. And the other thing, and Terry Clark mentions, always quarantine and know how to do it. Quarantine doesn't mean, oh, I brought him in and I put him on the other side of the bird room. There's definitely, quarantine is very specific as far as how you do it. I mean, Jack, do you have a written plan on quarantine for, your facility at the farm?
Yes. So we actually have written plans on our quarantine for different species, because different species are going to have different guidelines, different things that we are looking for. It's a whole lot of fun, because when people come out and they think, oh, here, I can work and I can take care of animals, and then I pull out a binder of everything we do with our animals, including how they get fed, how they get enriched, how they get quarantined, it can be a little bit overwhelming to them. But, Sarah was talking about this earlier. It's important to provide for the wellness of the animals in our care. So when she was talking about when she gets a new bird, she disease tests them, and then she knows that her flock is clean and safe, so that babies she is producing are going to be clean and safe. That's how she is able to provide that. So your protocols for your facility may be a little bit different. You may have different things that you change on how you do feeding, how you do the maintenance, how you do the enrichment. But quarantine is a critically important aspect of being able to ensure that your birds stay healthy.
Megan's question here: if you get a new bird and already have one, do you handle the old one before the new one each day? I would say yes. I mean, that would be how I would do it. And that includes a change of clothes, not the same shoes. I mean, it gets down to that kind of detail. It's really got to be a conscious effort when you are when you are bringing a new bird into your flock. It's not the, oh, shoot, oh, I forgot. Oh, well, that's okay. I don't need to do it anymore. You've got to be, we're back to that consistent word again. This is your bird's safety, the ones you already have and the new one that you just acquired. And you really need to be cognizant of what you're doing and how you're handling them. I mean, think of it as when we all found out what COVID was all about, and then times 100. Because, Jack, what are you laughing at? I did math.
Please
I know.
Please do not wipe your bird down with Clorox wipes. That was the first place my brain went.
Okay. All right. You guys know what I mean. Just be cautious. Be aware of what you're doing and how. There go those butterflies again. Those butterflies, you wouldn't let them. You'd have to quarantine them if you were bringing them in. But and bird setup. I mean, it's. Go ahead.
Again, if you have a veterinarian, which you should, because a vet visit is going to be part of your quarantine. If you are not comfortable with what needs to be done in terms of setting up your quarantine, if you're not comfortable with how do I provide for these birds that I have and this new bird, talk to your veterinarian about it, because that aspect of biosecurity is going to be something they are trained in. So, me and Robin can point these things out to you, but if you talk to your veterinarian, they can help you develop an established, fully formed plan. So please, please, please reach out to them if you are in the situation and you don't really know what you're doing. Another thing that I would point out is, for me, when it comes to quarantining a new bird, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust breeders, stores, rescues. No matter where the bird is coming from, I am quarantining the bird and I am going to treat it as if it has the potential to infect my birds, to infect any of the other animals that I am caring for. The reason you do that is that it helps you to ensure that you're not going to have to deal with those issues down the line. And if you need to treat an individual bird, that can be a lot of work, but oh my God, it is so much less work than, oh, hey, yeah, I didn't pay attention to it. And now I've got, my entire flock is diseased and I have to treat that.
Absolutely. And, and while you're doing that quarantine, you can work on the setup for your bird. Sarah, no Clorox wipes, but please wash your hands after feeding, watering, washing the dishes for your bird in quarantine. It's not just the bird, it's the toys, the cage, the entire room the bird is housed in. So many good points there, Sarah. And I think, so you can take that time. I don't have to have the cage set up and in that, in the room with the whole flock and figure out how everybody's going to get together. That sexy thing, biosecurity. It's true, Tracy. Biosecurity is a sexy word. So, it's not rocket surgery, but it is important. And I think we really need to consider, take that time, be deliberate about how how you're interacting with that bird and how you're setting that bird up for success. We talk about that all the time. You want your environment to set your bird up for success. Start with the quarantine and then move into the setup. So, excuse me, I think, we could do a whole, and we've talked too about, before you get a bird, we could definitely do a whole segment on new bird setup. But the down and dirty is you need the caging, the toys, the first aid kit, the food, the perching. What am I missing, Jack?
You need to have your resource list of veterinarians and everything else set up. And all of these things, please have them before you get your bird. I don't think there's anything you can do to stress yourself out more than I'm going to go get a bird and, oh, hey, I also have this cage that I have to put together while I have this bird in a travel carrier that it's a little bit stressed in. And, oh, hey, and we still need to go out and get toys. And, oh, I forgot to pick up food. Like, make sure you have everything that you're going to need to take care of that bird, everything that you can think of, set up in advance. And chances are good you are going to realize you need something else. But by addressing as many issues as you can think of beforehand, you ensure that there are fewer issues moving forward.
Sarah brings up separate bags of feed for different aviaries and sections, that it's that important. And it's true, because if you're going from cage to cage to cage and you're scooping food and putting it in and you take that same scoop, oh, wait a minute, that's part of it. And it's those minute details that you really have to be aware of. You got to think it through. So there's a lot to getting a new bird. There's a lot to thinking about where you want to get your new bird. But I really hope that the discussion tonight has kind of opened people's eyes. And I'm not going to ever tell anyone where they need to get their bird from, whether it's a breeder, a parrot welfare organization, or a store. Whatever works for you, whatever feels right for you, that's where you need to get your bird. And, the one thing I want to say is that no matter where you get that bird, stick to your guns as far as the fact that it worked for you. You don't need to defend yourself to anyone. You just need to say, I got this bird. And if you had a great experience with a breeder, with a rescue, with a wherever, then you let people know. But it doesn't have to be all, one way, my way or the highway. So, do you quarantine your new bird if it's your only bird? Well, it depends what your setting is. Jack.
Yeah, so I would say, so the good news, if it is your only bird or if it's your first bird, you don't have the same risk of disease transmission from one animal to the other. But all of the steps that we have listed, the monitoring your bird for that first set of time, making sure that you get those vet visits, making sure that you talk to your vet about what sort of tests they would like to see to ensure that your bird is healthy, all of those are going to be important no matter what bird you are on, whether it's your first bird, your second bird, or your 17th bird, because I feel like there's nobody that has 3 or 4 birds. You go from having 1 to 2 to all of them. Those steps to take, those are all going to be really, really important. And okay, so if you're worried about, cross-contamination with different animal species, again, reach out to your veterinarian, and they'll let you know what their concerns would be in every single situation, because depending on what types of animals you have, if you have dogs, cats, ferrets, obviously you're going to have to worry about different things. I don't know why ferrets came to mind, but yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just taking that initial time. It may not be officially quarantine, but it's taking that initial, 30-day period, however long you have deemed necessary. Again, we suggest 30 days, but taking that time and really observing what's going on with your bird and making sure that its health is good and that it's becoming accustomed to your situation. So on that note, Tracy is always the comic relief. They might, you never know. Probably not though. I think, I don't know. I think a big bird could probably take a ferret, even a small bird. A green cheek could probably take a small ferret. But anyway, but I digress. So, do we have a trivia question tonight, Jack?
So we do, and our trivia question is actually pretty simple and straightforward. What is the suggested length of time for quarantine? We were actually pretty nice to you guys this time because we gave you a question that we've answered pretty close to the trivia. We always will give you the answer to our trivia questions, but sometimes it's earlier in the session. So we always encourage you guys to tune in right when the session starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, the nice thing is Nick is going to go through, he is going to assess the timestamps of when people comment. So Robin and I have no responsibility on who the winner is. Yep, hands up. So Nick, do we have a winner for our trivia question?
Lori McFarland. Lori is like quick on the keyboard. Good job, Lori. 30 days. And then it's flexible after that. So good job, Lori. Lori, tonight's prize, Jack has tonight's prize in hand.
So we have found, we're
It's
really,
a baby
really excited
goat.
about
Oh,
it. No.
sorry, Lori, I tried. You saw me try there. I'm just saying.
The shipping would eat me alive on that. Uh, no. We have found they are small little micro block setups. So think really small Legos of different birds. So you are actually going to be getting well, okay, you can't really see it from the picture. Here's one that I got for myself and put together. So we have a penguin. So that is what you are going to be getting. So Lori, if you want to go ahead, send me a message, let me know, and I can get that mailed out to you. But yeah, Robin and I have been trying to find, new and fun prizes. Although I think, oh yeah, no, everybody has been commenting. Everybody wants a jar of cookie butter.
So I don't know if you go to AFA and you came and saw Jack and I in person, there might be some cookie butter involved. I don't know.
Yeah, the fun part is for the AFA conference, which is going to be this August, Robin and I are both speaking. We are already planning our live stream that will be happening that Friday night of the AFA conference. So there's already work going into that. And it should be exciting because at that point, that'll be about 9 months of live streams. That'll be the first one where we've actually been in the same room at the same time for the live stream. But we are planning on having that available then as well.
All right. So, reminder, we've got the conference. You've got 4 days to sign up and guarantee that you will have your materials mailed to you in time. And it's really, you can still sign up after that, right up till the end. But if you want to participate in the workshops, which are going to be a lot of fun, we've got to get those materials to you. And you never know what might come in the mail. So sign up. You've got so it's Monday till Monday. And the reason we've got that is because now I have to box up things and send them out to you all. And, you don't want me working late. So sign up for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, some of the proceeds are going to the Georgia Fletcher Memorial Scholarship, which is super exciting. And all right, next week's topic. Next week's topic is reading body language. This is not information for when you go out to the bars now that things are opening up. This is how to read your bird's body language and how to present your own body language. So I think this is going to be a fun one. Jack, anything else you want to add?
We always tell you guys, thank you so much. And I don't think you guys realize how much Robin and I appreciate you being a part of our Friday Night Flock Talks and you guys forming this online community, everybody working together to help each other, everyone pushing each other to be better bird keepers. When Robin and I first started talking about these live streams, that was the goal, getting information out there so that people could provide better care for their birds. And again, this isn't something that, Robin and I aren't getting rich on this. The reason we're doing it is because it is important to us. So thank you guys so much for being a part of it, for helping out new bird owners as they log on, for sharing this with people who you think would benefit from the information. I know it really doesn't feel like it, but by doing all of those things, as simple as they may seem, you are all doing your best to promote the future of aviculture, and I cannot thank you enough for that.
Absolutely. And, we talk about positive reinforcement. It's very reinforcing for us to see how far you guys have come too. I think, a lot of you are very experienced, and I think, some of you are novice, yet you're all interacting and you're sharing this information, and we love to see that. Jack and I you know, have a passion for aviculture, for all things animal. And we really love sharing that with you and love seeing you share it with one another. So thank you guys, and we will see you next week. Take care and happy Memorial Day weekend.